New Sixers point guard and Mr. Play-In Tournament champion himself, Patrick Beverley, calls out the Boston Celtics, specifically Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, saying that they will never win anything together. I'll be going into some hilarious stats about that, plus a crazy new Giannis Antetokounmpo update saying that he might not be in Milwaukee long term. So we'll be talking about what that means for the Celtics on this edition of Celtics Digest. And as we get into this Patrick Beverley topic, quick reminder to hit subscribe right now if you haven't already and you like the content. We really appreciate your support. So Patrick Beverley, he calls out the Celtics, he calls out the Jays, he goes and says he doesn't think the duo can get it done together. He said, no, too much of the same player. They don't complement each other enough. Patrick Beverley on if Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum can get it done together. Now, I got a few things to say about this. Number one, Patrick Beverley's team at least used spell check. You didn't even use the right word or the word complement. There's actually an E instead of an I. So good job on that. Number two, what success have you had, Patrick Beverley? What do you know about winning basketball? If I'm correct, these are the playoff stats for your career. And 2020, 2021 on the LA Clippers, where you played 19 minutes a game, by far, your lowest amount of minutes played in any playoff series, minus maybe the year before, that's the only time you've even made the conference finals. And you were embarrassed. You lost in 6 games to the Suns. But not only that, you've made the conference finals once in your career. In the last 2 seasons, Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum have surpassed that. They made the conference finals last year. And in this year before, they made the NBA Finals. Just since 2016, I know Jaylen Brown was 2016 and Tatum was after, but still. Eastern Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Semis, Eastern Conference Finals, Eastern Conference First Round, lost Finals, Eastern Conference Finals. So again, Tatum and Brown have had more success in the past couple of years, let alone the past 4 or 5, where they've more than surpassed Patrick Beverley's success than Patrick Beverley has ever seen. Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown have carried a team to the NBA Finals. Did they have support? Yeah, of course they had support. And they have a great team. They had a great team last year. They have a great team coming in this year with the likes of Derrick White, with, Al Horford, Robert Williams. Yeah, there's lots of support. But to say that they'll never win together because they don't complement each other enough, they're already Eastern Conference champions. They've already made the conference finals a bunch of times and ran into other very, very strong teams. Like, I just don't understand it. And also with this whole culture shift happening now in Boston since Jaylen Brown signed that extension, we see Jaylen Brown locking in saying, we are so committed. We got to have this team identity. We got to buy into defense. That's going to be our big thing. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum are working out together in the summer now, which is not something that was very common in the past. There's this feeling now of, all right, Brown is locked into the biggest contract in NBA history. Tatum is going to get his very, very soon. This is the core. You traded Marcus Smart, which was the heart of your team, to bring in Kristaps Porzingis, who is an elite center. You got to go for it now. And to say they don't complement each other as well, I wanted to touch on that because while, yes, they can both be ball dominant, Jayson Tatum has really upped his passing game. And, while Jaylen Brown maybe still doesn't quite have the dribbling and passing that we'd like from him, he's definitely improving. Every single year, we've seen them grow together. Every single year. While, yes, a few years ago, and even last year and the year before, we saw lots of struggles where those two guys maybe couldn't make up for each other's weaknesses because they share some of the same ones. But they're getting better every year. That's the whole point, right? They're still both very young. They're like mid-20s, right? There's still another 4 or 5 years of them in their absolute peak where they can continue to grow, especially if they're working together to learn how to play together on the court to complement each other. You're not going to magically have 2 players with somewhat similar styles at times to just work together from day one. No, but it's all about building a team, building a culture, making that team one big group and finding out how your other players can also help you win. And guess what? Boston has done a great job of that. So this whole statement, it just seems like he's salty that he can't win, and now he's going to the Philadelphia 76ers, who are probably going to lose James Harden. He was so excited to go there. I mean, it's a disaster. I mean, look, Pat Bev, I respect Pat Bev's career, of course, but just this statement here, completely ridiculous. I mean, just everything about this, I don't even know. Let me know what you guys think, because it kind of surprised me and upset me, maybe just a little bit. But the other thing we wanted to talk about today is this whole Giannis thing, and I'm sure you've heard the news. Giannis Antetokounmpo talk is absolutely everywhere, and there's questions now, could he be a future Boston Celtic? Now that's a bit far-fetched. I'll be the first to admit it's a bit far-fetched. but it's not impossible. Let's just take a look. So Ian Rappaport, usually an NFL insider, as a lot of you guys know, Giannis on his next contract, quote, "I would not be the best version of myself if I don't know that everybody's on the same page. Everybody's going for a championship. Everybody going to sacrifice time away from their family like I do. And if I don't feel that, I'm not signing." And honestly, this isn't anything new. Like, this sentiment from Giannis, I should say, isn't anything new. He's made that clear when he was talking with the Bucks in the past, when we heard him talk about all these contract updates, when he was going to sign his extension a number of years ago. He's like, I want to be around a winner, and if this team's committed to winning, I want to stay here. And guess what Milwaukee did? They bought in. They won a championship on Giannis's back. They've traded 4 firsts for Jrue Holiday. They kept Chris Middleton around. They filled out a great supporting cast, and they got him a ring. But he's not done. He wants more, and he wants the Bucks to commit long term. But here's the thing. That Bucks core is aging. Brook Lopez is not getting any younger. Jrue Holiday, Chris Middleton not getting any younger, and Giannis is still going to be in his prime for a little while. So what's going to happen? Could the Boston Celtics maybe be a potential suitor? I mean, we'll entertain that for a second. Now, realistically, I think that he would probably be a trade target maybe in the offseason after 2024-25. But you know, if he's a trade target, what would you have to do if you're Boston? Well, what you would have to do is you would probably have to trade Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum. And Tatum's going to probably not accept that player option in 25-26. He's going to extend at the supermax, probably worth about 55, 60 million, whatever, higher than Brown's. But you'd have to trade one of them to get Giannis. And, you know, if you have Tatum and you have Brown and you have the opportunity to get Giannis, do you trade Jaylen Brown for Giannis? I mean, I think so. Probably a million times out of a million if you're in that if you have that opportunity, but that's a very, very big hypothetical. I think the more realistic approach to this topic is how would that affect the Celtics if Giannis leaves the Bucks or the rest of the Bucks leave Giannis, right? Like, what is going to happen? Well, here's the thing. If you're Milwaukee, you will probably have to trade him, right? Like, at some point somehow. And you're probably not going to want to trade him into the same conference, even if they're going into a rebuild. So I mean, you never know. This is all pure speculation. But the idea that if Milwaukee can't stay a contender for the next 4 or 5 years, as Boston is in this championship window now for probably just the next 4 or 5 years is their main target, while you have Brown, you have Tatum, who's going to be under that contract, you have Porzingis for a few more. If you can manage to hold off until Giannis is gone out of the East, one of the biggest roadblocks in the Eastern Conference, that would pay huge dividends for Boston. You don't even have to go get him. All you have to do is wait for Milwaukee. If they can't, you know, sort of rebuild again, or retool, I should say, again, around Giannis as Jrue Holiday gets older, as Brook Lopez gets older, as Middleton gets older, this can just open the door even further for the Boston Celtics. And I know the Heat have kind of been the Celtics' kryptonite in a lot of ways, not so much the Bucks. But guess what? The Heat aren't getting any younger either. I mean, they do have Tyler Hero, but Jimmy Butler was the guy who really carried him through and couldn't quite get it done in the finals. So I think the Celtics' opportunity is here and now. And hearing this from Giannis, that he's not saying he's going to leave the Bucks, but if the Bucks can't build the type of contender that he wants around the Bucks, it might open the door even further for Boston to jump in and up those championship odds. And, oh man, go for banner 18, 19, 20. Why not? Let's just keep counting as high as we can, because right now this Boston team looks extremely good. And if any of the competition can be watered down in the East, it'd be a welcome sight. That'll do it for this edition of Celtics Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate your support. I've been Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.